Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. At the taping of this video, it is just 5 days till Christmas. And if you've been anything like me, you've been busy, right? Running to parties and services and buying gifts and wrapping them. I've hosted a Christmas party, been to a Christmas party. I spoke at a Christmas party. It's just lots of great things, but a busy time of year. And so it can get hectic. Well, we have been walking through this series with Mary and Joseph, asking some Christian questions. When Mary asked, Mary said, I'm willing to do whatever. Asked the question, are we willing? Joseph was merciful toward Mary and asked the question, are you and I merciful? Not just this time of year, but throughout. And then we get to the story of Mary and Joseph now, where some things just begin to change in their life. And they have to try to persevere literally through the first Christmas. We try to persevere through all the parties and the gifts and the wrapping and the commercialization of Christmas. But they had to really persevere. And there's a couple different thoughts that I talked about, paralleling our lives to their lives. And how can we persevere, not just through Christmas, but through life in general. So let's talk about their story for just a minute. In Luke, it tells us that the emperor Caesar decreed that a census had to be taken. And so you had to go to your ancestral hometown, and that's where David was from. Joseph was from there. Joseph was in the family line of David. So he had to go back to Bethlehem in Judea. That's his hometown. And so, but what's interesting is that Mary and Joseph were already in Nazareth. Maybe that's where they were planning on, they were going to have the baby there. They knew they were going to raise Jesus there. And maybe possibly Mary had a midwife already. In other words, everything was arranged. It was lined up. And then boom, guess what? That's the first thought I said Sunday, is that life can change abruptly, can it? It's about a 10-day journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Now imagine that you're all settled in, but you're 8 or 9 months pregnant, and you have this decree. Now you have to go to Bethlehem, and all you moms will get this. You don't want to go anywhere, but now you have to go. Not only that, but you either are going to walk, ride a camel, or a donkey. Right? I mean, this trip just got adventurous, right? And who knows if they're even going to make it, if they're going to have the baby in time. And it's crazy. I think we can all agree that life can change abruptly. And I think we can also say that life is hard. You know, the scripture says he took Mary with him on this trip, who he was engaged to, and she was now expecting a child, right? Like I said, imagine having to ride on an animal when you're 8 or 9 months pregnant. That just doesn't sound fun. But yet, they got through it. But I have to wonder, as Mary and Joseph, they're humans. They're going through emotions and thinking, God, I've told you I'm willing, I'll do whatever. Couldn't the emperor have just waited another 30 days, 45 days? And then, but you know what? God's timing is perfect. We know that. And there was a reason that they had to do this. But don't miss the fact, life is hard. Jesus never promised an easy life. Following Jesus is not easy. He says, take up my cross and follow me. And so, but here's what we had to realize, life still happens. That's the third thing. Life still happens. It says, while they were there, the time came for the baby to be born. Guess what? Again, all you moms and you dads know, when it's time for a baby to come, it's come, right? There's nothing you can do to stop it. And so in spite of all this, everything that's going on, God in human flesh is born in a stable, and he's placed in a feeding trough. And Mary had just given birth to Jesus the Christ. And you know what? The things that happen in our lives may not be quite that spectacular, but life goes on. Life goes on, and it's difficult. And then the fourth thing I said was that, you know what? That means you just got to make the best of the life that you have. Let me just be real. And this may not, it just may not sound real Christmassy, but this is truth. Life is hard. We already said that, right? Life is totally unfair. So you've got to make the best of this life. Sitting around whining and complaining isn't going to do us any good. Mary and Joseph most definitely probably would have loved to have things work out totally different, right? But life doesn't work out the way we always want it to. And so it says they wrapped him, snugly in strips of cloth, and they laid him in a feeding trough, a manger, because there's no place. Mary couldn't have called, she couldn't have got on hotels.com, right? She couldn't have called up a relative, couldn't text them, said, hey, we're going to be there soon. We're Ubering over there. Can't do any of that. And so you just got to make the best of the situation. You've got to do that. I'm going to end with this story, and then our time will be up here. But stories told of, there was a shipwreck, and there was only one survivor on that shipwreck. And he floated around for several hours in the water. And finally, he came ashore on this small, uninhabited island. And he feared for his life. He didn't know he had no resources, and he scanned the horizon searching and couldn't find anything. And so finally, after a couple of days, he figures out how to make this crude little hut, at least to protect him from the harsh elements. And he takes off, and he goes and he's hunting, and he comes back. And he realizes that his fire had been too close to the hut, and his hut was engulfed in flames. The one thing that he had, his only possession, is up in flames. And he just cries out to God, and he starts weeping, and he's ready. He's in total despair. Life has not worked out like he planned. He's ready to give up. And somehow he kind of sleeps restlessly through the night, and he wakes from that sleep. And as he wakes up, he sees out on the horizon a ship. And he realizes that ship's getting closer and closer. And finally, that ship comes, and they rescued him. And he can't believe it. He goes, how did you guys know I was here? And they said, well, it was simple. We saw your smoke signal. You see, sometimes the things that we do in life, they're not expected, they're not planned, and they're hard and they're difficult. And we see the negative circumstance in the moment, but really they're smoke signals. And they're things that God is going to turn tragedies into something beautiful. The story of Mary and Joseph is a tragic one in the sense that nothing happened the way they would have wanted it to happen, but yet God was born. Well, listen, this has been a longer video than I normally do. I apologize for that, but Merry Christmas to you guys. We'll have one more in this series coming up next week, and we will see you then. Love you guys, and have a great, great Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.